On the night of October 21st, 1978, a young pilot took off into the Australian sky and was never seen again. His name was Frederick Valentic, 20 years old, passionate about flying, with dreams bigger than the sky itself. He was a trainee pilot, flying a Cessna 182L on a routine trip across the Bass Strait in Australia. The Bass Strait, a stretch of open ocean between mainland Australia and Tasmania, known for unpredictable weather and strange disappearances. It was 7:06 p.m. when Frederick contacted Melbourne Air Traffic Control. Everything seemed completely normal. Air Traffic Controller Steve Roby was on duty that night. Routine check-in, nothing unusual at first. Then at 7:09 p.m., Frederick's voice changed. Something had caught his attention outside the aircraft. He reported a large aircraft following him, but air traffic control showed no other planes in that area. The skies were empty, yet Frederick insisted something was up there with him. He described it as long, with a shiny metallic surface and a green light on top, moving at incredible speed. Frederick kept reporting back to control, his voice growing more and more unsettled with every transmission. Steve Roby asked Frederick to identify the aircraft. Frederick replied, "It was not an aircraft." Not an aircraft. Those words sent a chill through the control room. What exactly was Frederick looking at? He reported the object was orbiting above him. His engine began to run roughly, and then his aircraft started coughing. Engine failure at night, over open ocean, with an unidentified craft above him. Frederick Valentic was in serious trouble. At 7:12 p.m., Frederick made his final transmission, 6 words that have haunted investigators for decades. His last words were, "It is hovering on top of me," and then 17 seconds of unexplained metallic scraping sound. Then nothing. Complete silence. Frederick Valentic and his aircraft had vanished from radar without a single trace. A massive search operation was launched the very next morning. Ships, helicopters, divers, scanning every inch of the Bass Strait. They found nothing. No wreckage, no body, no aircraft parts, not even a fuel slick on the water. His family was devastated. His father, Guido Valentic, never stopped believing his son had been taken by something not of this world. Australian authorities investigated thoroughly. Their official conclusion was painfully simple. Cause unknown. Cause unknown. 2 words that answered nothing and opened a door to questions that remain unanswered to this very day. The story made headlines worldwide, and the debate began immediately. What had Frederick Valentic actually encountered that night? UFO researchers immediately classified it as one of the most credible UFO encounters ever recorded, because Frederick was a trained pilot, not an ordinary witness. His radio transmissions were recorded, every word analyzed, and experts agreed he was genuinely terrified. This was no hoax. Aviation experts examined every possible mechanical explanation. Could the engine failure explain his final words? They said no. Some theorized Frederick became disoriented, confused by lights from the ocean below, mistaking them for an aircraft above him. But this theory collapsed quickly. Frederick was an experienced enough pilot to distinguish between a reflection and a real object above him. Military radar records from that night were later reviewed, and they showed something extraordinary, an unidentified object near Frederick's last known position. But those records were quickly classified. The public never got the full story, and that silence only deepened the mystery. The Bass Strait kept its secret, miles of deep, dark water, hiding whatever happened to Frederick Valentic on that October night. Frederick was 20 years old, with his whole life ahead of him, a young man who simply loved to fly, and one night, the sky swallowed him whole. What makes this case even more chilling? Multiple witnesses on the ground that same evening reported seeing a green glowing object over the Bass Strait. These were independent witnesses. They did not know each other. They had no reason to lie, yet they all described the same green glowing object. The Australian government officially closed the case, calling it an accident with unknown cause, but many inside the investigation were deeply unsatisfied. One senior investigator reportedly said off the record, "This case should never have been closed. We never found out what was up there." Over the decades, researchers built detailed timelines, connecting other disappearances in the Bass Strait, creating a pattern no one could easily dismiss. The Bass Strait had claimed other pilots before Frederick and after him, making some researchers call it Australia's own Bermuda Triangle. Australia's Bermuda Triangle, a stretch of water with more unexplained disappearances per square mile than almost anywhere else on Earth. Whatever lies at the bottom of the Bass Strait has never been found. The ocean floor there is deep and largely unexplored. In 2012, 34 years after the disappearance, a piece of metal was found on a remote Australian beach and sent to investigators for analysis. The metal fragment showed unusual properties. Its composition did not match any known aircraft parts, including Frederick's Cessna 182L. Scientists could not definitively link it to Frederick's aircraft, but they also could not explain what it actually was or where it came from. Another dead end, another unanswered question in a case that seems specifically designed to never be solved. Frederick's father, Guido, spent the rest of his life searching for answers. He died believing extraterrestrials had taken his son, and he never let go of that belief. Perhaps that is the most haunting part of this story, not just that Frederick vanished, but that no explanation has ever been enough to close this case. Even today, aviation authorities and UFO researchers continue to study the Valentic case. It remains officially the most documented unexplained disappearance in aviation history. An empty seat, a silent radio, and 17 seconds of unexplained metallic sound. That is all that remains of Frederick Valentic's last flight. The Bass Strait looks peaceful in daylight, beautiful even, but somewhere beneath that golden water, a 20-year-old pilot's story remains forever unfinished. The last voice ever heard from Frederick Valentic was calm, almost eerily calm, as if he had already accepted that he was not coming back. Whatever that green light was, whatever hovered above his aircraft that night, it has never been identified, and perhaps it was never meant to be. Was it a UFO? Was it a military experiment gone wrong? Was it something we still cannot explain? The sky took Frederick Valentic and kept every secret,